It's Poche and I'm here with Double XL Big, late at night. Locked into breaking footage from South Florida that had the whole neighborhood on edge. One surveillance camera caught the exact moment gunshots rang out, and this time it involved a recording artist. Pooh Shiesty, real name Rel Williams, is at the center of it, and right now he remains behind bars as this situation continues to unfold. Now picture this for a second. You're sitting in a federal prison cell, can't go anywhere, can't touch the streets. But you re-so loaded that you decide to buy 2 Ferraris just because you re-bored? That's exactly what Pooh Shiesty did while locked up, and that's only scratching the surface of his wild money story from behind bars. We were talking about a young dude who went from the projects to millionaire status before he could even legally drink, dropping serious money on grills, picking up luxury cars like they're nothing, and buying his mom a full mansion before turning 21, no cap at all. But here's where it really gets crazy. While most rappers lose everything once they get locked up, Pooh Shiesty was still making power moves from inside. His money didn't dry up, it multiplied. Strategic plays, steady income, and moves made through family connections kept his empire alive even while he was incarcerated. So if you're wondering how Pooh Shiesty stacked millions while sitting in federal prison, how his money stayed strong while locked up, and why those Ferraris became the loudest flex in the industry, stay locked in. This story is about to have you shook. Before we break down the money, you gotta understand where he came from. Pooh Shiesty, born Rel Williams Jr., grew up in South Memphis, specifically the Cane Creek projects. And if you know Memphis, you already know it's a rough environment, no fairy tales involved. He was raised in a world where danger was part of everyday life. And his pops, known in the streets as Mob Boss, was already active in both the music side and the streets. His father ran Mob Ties Records, so music was in his blood from day one. But it wasn't all beats and studio time, because his father was also catching cases and dealing with serious legal trouble. Back in 2004, when Pooh Shiesty was just a kid, the hustler mindset was already stitched into his genes, gang. Yeah. Growing up, he was exposed to both sides of the grind early on. One day he's in the studio with his pops, watching the music business move, and the next, he's seeing street life up close. No filter at all. By age 11, he already caught his first case. By 14, he was back in the system again. The streets kept calling, and he kept answering. His pops, known as Mob Boss, drilled one lesson into him early. A real hustler never relies on just one income stream. You diversify, you invest, you think long-term. That lesson would later matter heavy when Pooh Shiesty found himself staring at federal time. But let's rewind a bit. Here's where things get wild. Pooh Shiesty started grinding in Memphis, building serious buzz with tracks like Hell Night featuring Big 30. The visuals were pulling in millions of views, and suddenly the city realized a new voice was rising fast. At that point, he was still independent. Just raw talent, street credibility, and momentum. Then out of nowhere, his phone lights up. It's Gucci Mane himself. The trap legend had been watching closely, and Mane Slime caught his attention. Reports say Gucci slid into his DMIs on Instagram, just like a regular message, but this one changed everything. Within months, Pooh Shiesty was signed to 1017 Records. Just like that, a kid from the projects went from local buzz to industry-backed star power. That signing marked his first major payday. Exact numbers were never made public, but anyone familiar with the industry knows the setup. A hot artist with momentum usually gets a heavy signing bonus to lock the deal in. That money handles immediate needs and secures financial stability while the project gets built. With Gucci Mane backing him, insiders believe that deal instantly pushed Pooh Shiesty into millionaire territory, and that bonus wasn't even the whole package. Album advances came next, money paid up front that stays yours even before the album drops. Add in marketing budgets, performance guarantees, and other incentives, and that 1017 deal came with serious bread attached. But even that was just the beginning. Gucci's cosign opened doors most artists never get near. Then November 2020 hit hard. Pooh Shiesty linked up with Lil Durk for Back in Blood and everything exploded. God. The track climbed to number 13 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 6 on the hip-hop charts. Hundreds of millions of streams poured in. Streaming royalties stacked up fast. Spotify alone crossed 200 million streams. YouTube passed 100 million views, and every platform added more money to the pot. One song turned into a non-stop revenue machine. And here's the beautiful part of it all. This money didn't stop. It kept coming in every single day, every month, every year. As long as people kept playing the music, Pooh Shiesty kept getting paid. That's passive income at its finest, gang. Streaming wasn't even the only bag he was touching. Once Back in Blood exploded, his performance value went through the roof. Before the hit, he might have been doing small shows for a few thousand. After the charts, promoters were cutting checks in the six-figure range just for him to touch the stage. We're talking $100,000 to $200,000 per show, sometimes multiple shows a week. Do the math real quick. 3 shows a week at $150,000 is $450,000 in 7 days. Stretch that over a month and you're flirting with $2 million off performances alone. And Pooh Shiesty was running that play for months before the legal pressure hit. Then came feature money. Once the hit proved he could really move the needle, everybody wanted a verse. He wasn't hopping on tracks for free. Artists were paying anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 just for a 16-bar feature. Every collab meant more cash straight into his pocket. On February 5th, 2021, he dropped his debut mixtape Shiesty Season. The project debuted at number 3 on the Billboard 200 and moved over 60,000 units first week. That's major business. The tape featured heavy hitters like Gucci Mane and Lil Durk, and tracks like Monday to Sunday racked up massive views online. Album sales, streaming money, and chart success all stacked up fast. On top of that, he had merchandise rolling through his deal with 1017 Records. Hoodies, tees, hats, the profit margins were crazy. You move thousands of units, that turns into serious profit real quick. By early 2021, Pooh Shiesty was living heavy. Jewelry shining, luxury cars on deck, and a whole mansion for his mom. Millions in liquid assets were already stacked before things went left. That cushion mattered, because his life was about to flip upside down. Now we gotta talk about what slowed everything down. It's a case that eventually sent him to federal prison. According to reports, Pooh Shiesty and associates pulled up to Bay Harbor Islands in a bright McLaren for a sneaker deal. Surveillance footage shows him entering the parking lot, and that moment changed everything. The seller pulled in behind him in a Mercedes and stepped out. Seconds later, 2 of Pooh Shiesty's associates were seen pulling out firearms at Draco and another handgun to Antoine and opening fire. The seller was hit, but survived the attack. Pooh Shiesty and the others took off fast, but they left behind a duffel bag stuffed with over $30,000 in cash, and that mistake changed everything. That bag became key evidence, gang. Federal investigators used the cash to tie Pooh Shiesty directly to the crime. He and his associates were hit with serious federal charges, including discharging a firearm during a violent crime, conspiracy, and robbery affecting interstate commerce. And when the feds step in, you already know it's a different level of pressure. Federal cases come with a conviction rate north of 90%. If they indict you, they usually already got the proof lined up. In this case, prosecutors even pulled social media into it. One serial number on the cash-matched money shown in a photo Pooh Shiesty posted online. That's how they connected him directly to the scene. Social media turned into evidence real quick. But that wasn't the only case hanging over him. On May 30th, 2020, Pooh Shiesty was at the King of Diamonds strip club in Miami. According to reports, $40,000 allegedly fell from his waistline. People rushed for it, chaos broke out, and security stepped in. Things escalated, and he was removed from the club. Authorities later accused him of pulling a firearm and shooting a security guard in the leg. He was arrested, and although bond was set, he couldn't walk free because he was already out on bond from the earlier case. Judges don't play when you stack cases like that. There was also the July 7, 2020 gas station incident. Prosecutors claimed shots were fired from a vehicle during another confrontation. Even though it got less media attention, it helped paint a pattern. Multiple firearm cases gave the prosecution ammo to label him a danger to the community. At one point, Pooh Shiesty was facing up to 20 years in federal prison. That's a lifetime for someone barely 21. The government was pushing hard, trying to send a message that fame won't save you. But he hired Bradford Cohen, a heavyweight defense attorney who's represented names like Kodak Black and YNW Melly. That level of legal firepower isn't cheap, and the fact he could afford it showed how deep his pockets really were. The defense challenged the case, pressured the evidence, and it worked enough to get him bond. Pooh Shiesty posted it fast and tried to keep moving while fighting the charges. But eventually, reality caught up. In April 2022, his legal team made a strategic move. Instead of risking trial and decades behind bars, he accepted a plea deal. He was sentenced to 63 months, just over 5 years, a massive reduction from what he was originally facing. Most people thought that was the end. Career over, money gone, relevance finished. But they were dead wrong, gang. Because behind the scenes, Pooh Shiesty and his team already had a plan to keep the money flowing and even grow it while he was locked up. Here's what most people don't understand, fam. By the time Pooh Shiesty went to prison, he was already sitting on real money. We're talking millions in the bank, assets, investments, and most important, revenue streams that didn't stop just because he was locked up. This is where the real game shows itself. When he walked into federal prison, he wasn't starting from zero. The bag was already secured from the Gucci Mane signing. The success of Back in Blood, non-stop streaming checks, six-figure shows, features, and merch sales. All that money was already working for him while he couldn't move around. That's the big difference between Pooh Shiesty and most people who go inside. Most folks go in broke and come out worse. He went in rich with financial systems already set up to keep earning and even grow during his bid. Music money doesn't stop when you stop working. Streaming is passive income. Every play of Back in Blood, every spin of Monday to Sunday, every listen to Shiesty, Caesar meant money hitting his account whether he was free or sitting in a cell. And here's the wild part. His music actually gained more traction while he was locked up. Fans ran his catalog back heavy. Songs stayed in clubs, playlists, and rotations everywhere. That attention kept royalties flowing non-stop. From 2022 through 2025, his catalog kept generating millions of streams. Features stayed earning, mixtape cuts stayed alive, and every stream meant more money stacked quietly. Streaming revenue is steady and predictable. You can project it months and years out. That kind of financial stability is rare, and he already had it locked in. Through 1017 Records, his merchandise kept moving too. Hoodies, tees, masks, hats. Fans bought more as a way to support him. The margins stayed crazy, and over time, that turned into serious money. On top of that, his music kept getting licensed. TV, movies, commercials, games, all of that meant licensing fees rolling in while he was behind bars. Those licensing fees add up fast, fam. Small projects might pay a few thousand, while major films or commercials can run into the hundreds of thousands. Over 3 years, licensing from Pooh Shiesty's catalog became another steady stream, flowing straight into his accounts. And this is where the story really turns up. Remember how Ty's pops, Mob Boss, always understood the hustle? While Pooh Shiesty was locked up, Mob Boss stayed active, making calculated moves with his son's money. According to people close to the family, a big chunk of those earnings went straight into real estate. This wasn't reckless spending, gang. These were smart property plays built to generate passive income and long-term growth. Instead of letting cash sit idle, Mob Boss put it to work buying rental properties that brought in monthly checks. Here's the math, fam. Buy a $200,000 property, rent it out, and after expenses you might clear $500 to $1,000 a month. That's money coming in without lifting a finger. Multiply that across several properties and suddenly you're looking at thousands every month. Over 3 years, that turns into serious cash, and that's just from rent. Property values in Memphis climbed, meaning those same homes appreciated big time. A house bought for $200,000 could be worth $250,000 or more just a few years later. That's equity stacking quietly. Reports also suggest Mob Boss moved into commercial real estate. Retail spaces and offices bring higher rent and longer leases. One commercial unit can generate more monthly income than several residential spots combined. The beauty of this strategy is simple. It created income that had nothing to do with music. Even if the streams slowed, the properties kept paying. That's real financial separation. And Mob Boss didn't stop there. A portion of the money reportedly went into the stock market too. Yes, it has risks. But with smart, long-term plays, it's another proven way to grow wealth steadily. The key to all of this is diversification and patience, fam. Instead of throwing all the money into risky single stocks, the smart move is spreading it across index funds and solid blue-chip stocks that track the whole market. Over the long run, 5, 10, 20 years, the stock market has averaged around a 10% annual return, and that's how money really grows. If mob boss invested anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million of Pooh Shiesty's money into a balanced portfolio, that bag didn't just sit there, even with market ups and downs. A smart setup could VA added hundreds of thousands to his net worth while he was locked up. Stocks are liquid too, meaning if cash is ever needed, you can access it fast. But if you don't touch it, the money compounds and keeps building. That's how generational wealth is created, not overnight, but over time. Mob boss also kept money moving inside mob ties records and other family businesses. Ownership in companies means income beyond music. If another artist on the label wins, Pooh Shiesty wins too as an investor. That's long-term thinking. Business investments carry risk, but the upside is huge. One breakout artist can multiply the value of the whole label. That's why having ownership matters more than just quick cash. While others blew money on chains and cars that lose value, his family focused on assets that grow. Real estate, stocks, businesses, all working together. That's real strategy. Now let's clear something up. Prison jobs don't pay real money, and that's facts. Working rec might bring in only a few dollars a month, but the value wasn't the paycheck, it was the position. In prison, working recreation means access and influence. Everybody passes through the gym. That meant networking, respect, and leverage. Social capital inside is powerful. It also kept him active and mentally sharp. Staying busy helped him avoid drama and problems that stretched sentences. That focus mattered. Federal prison holds people from every background, including folks with serious outside connections. Relationships built inside can turn into opportunities later. That's investment too. By staying disciplined, connected, and focused on the bigger picture, Pooh Shiesty avoided traps that ruined careers. While locked up, the plan stayed intact. The money kept working. So yeah, the actual money from the prison job was nothing, gang. But the real value was in the intangibles. Staying mentally sharp, keeping respect, building connections, staying healthy, and avoiding trouble. All of that is priceless when you're trying to come home and restart your career. And here's another income stream people don't talk about enough. Pooh Shiesty didn't just sit in prison doing nothing musically. He recorded the Federal Contraband series straight off the jail phone. Recording like that isn't easy. The quality is rough, time is limited, and you gotta get creative. But he made it work. He'd call into a studio on the outside, spit his verses over the phone, and his team would clean it up and turn it into full tracks. Those prison recordings did three things. They kept his name hot, kept him relevant, and still generated streaming money. The numbers weren't back in blood level, but they were still solid. Millions of streams across platforms turned into real money. It wasn't the biggest bag, but it proved the mindset never stopped. And we gotta talk about the move that had the whole industry stunned. From inside prison, he got so bored that he bought 2 Ferraris. Not 1, 2, and he couldn't even drive them. Think about that for a second. Sitting in a federal cell, no freedom, no keys, but dropping hundreds of thousands just to make a point. Ferrari isn't cheap. Entry models start around $200,000, and higher-end ones climb way past that. These aren't just cars, they're status symbols. According to reports, the purchase was a flex aimed at an ex who had moved on. The message was loud without saying a word. Locked up or not, his money was still long. Most people would be stressing legal fees and saving for release. He was financially secure enough to spend big without blinking. That's not just being rich, that's being wealthy. And it worked. The move kept his name trending, blogs talking, and the image intact. In this game, perception matters. If people think you're winning, you are winning. Pooh Shiesty understood the game, and he used that Ferrari purchase to protect his brand even while locked up. Now, let's bring it all together, fam, and really break down how this man made $10 million while sitting in federal prison. When Pooh Shiesty walked into federal custody, he wasn't broke at all. He already had serious money stacked from his run before prison. The Gucci Mane signing alone came with a heavy upfront bonus that instantly put him in millionaire territory. Add in Back in Blood in his early catalog, and millions more came in through streaming. Before everything stopped, he was running 6-figure shows weekly, stacking hundreds of thousands every month. Features brought premium paydays, merch stayed moving, and all of that combined meant he entered prison with multiple millions already secured. Some estimates put it between 5 and 9 million in liquid assets and investments, and that was just the foundation. While locked up from 2022 to 2025, Streaming became the biggest money engine. His catalog kept pulling millions of plays every month. That passive income didn't care where he was, it kept hitting his accounts non-stop. Then came the real estate plays his pops handled. Rental properties produced steady monthly income, commercial spots paid even more, and property appreciation quietly added more value. Over 3 years, that portfolio alone brought in hundreds of thousands. Stock market investments grew too. Even with ups and downs, a diversified setup added more money to his net worth. Business ventures through mob ties, records, and other entities added another layer of income. Merchandise kept selling while fans showed love, stacking more profit. The federal contraband prison recordings added extra streaming revenue, licensing deals brought in more checks, and when you total it all up, several $1 million was generated while he was incarcerated. Combined with what he already had, his net worth easily hit $10 million or more. Now let's be real, fam. There were expenses too. Legal fees for Bradford Cohen weren't cheap. That defense cost hundreds of thousands. Then came the Ferrari Pooh of them, costing anywhere from $400,000 to over $1 million total. He also took care of family, covered business expenses, and handled prison-related costs. All that spending likely added up to $1 or $2 million over 3 years. But even after all that, he still walked out with an estimated net worth between $7 and $13 million. That's why the $10 million figure is actually conservative, gang. The real number could be even higher when you factor in assets nobody knows about, private investments, and the long-term value of his music catalog. That's the power of multiple income streams and smart financial planning, homie. While most people go to prison and come out broke, Pooh Shiesty went in rich and came out even richer. In October 2025, Pooh Shiesty was released early after serving just 3 years of a 5-year sentence. Good behavior and other factors shaved 2 years off, and the first thing he did when he touched down? He hit the jeweler and dropped $100,000 on a new chain. That move told the world his pockets never took a hit. His homie Big 30 was right there celebrating with a heavy bankroll, showing that the Choppa gang money was still flowing. Within 60 days of being home, Pooh Shiesty was already moving like nothing stopped. Luxury whips everywhere at Maybach, the Ferraris he bought from prison, now finally driven, a McLaren with custom rose gold accents, and even a Cybertruck to stay current. The jewelry matched the lifestyle too. Custom chains, watches, and pieces easily clearing 6 figures. What? This wasn't just flexing, it was a statement. Prison didn't break him, it sharpened him. The real wealth he gained wasn't just financial, it was mental. In his interview on $1 Million Worth of Game, you can see the difference. More focused, more mature, more strategic. He's done with internet drama, done with distractions, and serious about moving forward. He talks about being more assertive in the studio too. If the verse isn't right, he'll say it straight up and fix it. That confidence comes from pressure and experience. Old heads inside gave him game, told him he was too talented to waste his life, and showed him how to think long term. He listened. The lessons stuck. Diversify income. Put family first. Stay focused. Quality over quantity. Build a legacy, not just moments. Mob Boss showed him the value of trusted family handling business when you can't. Now that he's home, the industry is watching closely. He's teased new projects like FDO and That Boy, and he's back in the studio with heavy hitters like Gucci Mane and Lil Durk. The buzz is real, and fans are ready. He's coming back with a real story, real hunger, and real security. He doesn't have to rush or chase checks. He can take his time and deliver quality. That's a luxury most artists never get. And now, his earning potential is even higher than before. New music, tours, features, merch, and brand deals all lining up. This comeback isn't just loud, gang, it's dangerous. If Pooh Shiesty plays his cards right, he could make more money in his first year home than he made during his entire prison bid. The foundation is already set. Wealth, fan base, industry ties. Now, it's about execution and taking full control of the game. This story is bigger than money, fam. It's about resilience, strategy, and preparation. Most rappers wait until trouble hits to think about finances. Pooh Shiesty didn't. He built wealth before prison, which gave him the power to survive and win during it. That's the lesson right there. If you're in the streets, the music game, or any high-risk lane, you need to be stacking now. Don't wait until you're locked up or washed. Build passive income that works even when you can't. And he didn't do it alone. Mob boss was making smart moves, investing, buying property, managing business. 1017 Records kept the brand alive. You need people you trust who also know what they're doing. That's why multiple income streams matter. Streaming, real estate, merch, businesses. If one slows down, others keep flowing. That's how real wealth is protected. Mental strength mattered too. Prison breaks people, but he used it to sharpen himself. He came home more focused, more disciplined, more dangerous in a positive way. Every struggle is a chance to level up. And that Ferrari move, strategic, not just a flex, it kept his name buzzing, his image intact, and his brand strong. Sometimes spending money is marketing as long as it serves a purpose. Now let's bring it home. How did Pooh Shiesty make $10 million? He went in already sitting on millions from the Gucci Mane signing, back in blood streaming revenue, six-figure shows, premium features, and merch sales. That money didn't stop, it multiplied. And that's the real game, gang. That was the foundation, the wealth Pooh Shiesty had already built before his legal troubles ever started. Then once he was locked up, the machine kept running. His music continued pulling in millions of streams every single month, creating passive income that never shut off. His pops stepped in and invested that money into real estate, buying rental properties that produced monthly income and quietly appreciated in value. At the same time, money was placed in the stock market, growing steadily over 3 years. Business ventures through mob ties, records, and other entities added more income. Merchandise kept selling as fans showed love, and even his prison recordings brought in their own streaming checks. All these income streams working together over 3 years stacked millions more onto his wealth. When you add what he already had going in with what he earned while locked up, you're looking at a total net worth easily around $10 million or more. And here's the real kicker, fam. While he was behind bars, his music catalog appreciated, his real estate appreciated, and his brand grew stronger. That's why the $10 million number is conservative. The real figure could be closer to $12 to $15 million when you factor in everything. This is one of the wildest rags-2-riches-2-prison-2-even-richer stories in modern hip-hop history. From the Cane Creek projects to buying Ferraris from prison, this young cat showed what real hustle looks like. His wealth wasn't just about money, it was about power, respect, and taking care of family, even facing federal time. His financial foundation didn't just survive, thrived. Dropping hundreds of thousands on cars he couldn't even drive wasn't reckless, it showed the level of security he had. This wasn't just rap money. This was generational wealth, built smart and built to last. And now that he's back, one thing is clear. Prison didn't break his spirit or his bank account. If anything, it proved his success was real. He's already back in the studio, planning new music, lining up tours, and expanding his empire. With the lessons he learned, the money he stacked, and the hunger to prove himself, Pooh Shiesty is positioned to reach an even higher level in the game. And it all started with one phone call from Gucci Mane, one hit record with Lil Durk, and a hustler mindset that runs in his blood. That's the multi-million-dollar story of Pooh Shiesty Street Dreams. Overnight success, smart investments, and the kind of money that lets you buy Ferraris from prison just because you're bored. He proved that real hustlers always find a way, whether they're in the streets, in the studio, or sitting in a federal cell. With the right mindset and the right team, an empire is always possible. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below. Do you think Pooh Shiesty really made $10 million while locked up? And what would you do with that kind of money? Because sometimes all it takes is one call, one hit, and one smart move to change your whole life. Stay grinding, stay stacking, and keep building this story. Prove success can come from anywhere.